We got Derek Fisher, D Fish in the house. First of all, champ, welcome again.
Thank you.
It's an honor. So let's warm things up. First of all, how's the hospitality going on? How's Abu Dhabi treating you?
Abu Dhabi is treating me very well, same as you guys are here today. Yeah. Having a great time, man. Like this place has been amazing. First time in the UAE.
Yeah.
First time in Abu Dhabi. So left a great impression on me. I will be back. That's
there you go. There you go.
So thank you.
You've been to the mosque and which places?
Yes. The mosque, the Louvre in Abu Dhabi. We went to the mall, of course. You have to go to the mall.
Yeah.
And also the golf course. Went to Yas Links as well to play a little golf. So it's been a great trip so far.
How do you find the weather?
I personally am a fan of the weather. It's I guess it's not as hot as it normally can be. So I like it where it is right now. I don't know about any hotter than this, though.
This is kind of cool for us, by the way. Everybody knows that. Right. Question from our friends sitting.
Yeah, I think we were discussing with your wife coming potentially to live in Dubai. So in case you want any contact with CFI companies here.
Okay, thank you. Well, you're talking to the right person.
It's always the woman that's the lead.
Yeah. All right, now let's get some questions going on. So first of all, legendary career. You played for a lot of years in the NBA. You know, mostly, of course, Los Angeles Lakers with great coach Phil Jackson. Yeah. You developed your leadership back there as a main point guard. So how did you use that knowledge into transitioning to after the game? Into coaching now for high school also.
Yeah, no, I think, a lifetime of, I'm obviously, I feel like sports is this amazing, powerful thing that can be so impactful in your life. So for me personally, a lifetime of playing sports and competing for something. And even though, at 8 years old, you're not competing for something that means a whole lot in the scheme of things. But I think you are learning that if you want something, that you do have to compete for it. You do have to prepare for it. Yeah. You do have to be focused. You do have to have the right mindset going into the competition or the space. And so I think becoming a leader over time and still evolving and trying to grow as a leader, I was just for a lifetime of experiences, some wins, some failures, and things that didn't work out. But I think always feeling like the most impactful thing that I could do is serve the people that I'm working with. Yeah. And so that was what I internalized at a very young age, is even though I was never going to be, and I'm still not, I'm not 7 feet tall. Yeah. I think I'm done growing for the most part. I was never going to be the tallest, the most athletic, the most talented person on any of my teams, to be honest. My superpower was going to be leadership, tangibles.
Basketball IQ, obviously.
Yeah, things that maybe weren't necessarily measurable, but that I would leave an impression on the group.
Would you say that part of your, leadership roles and all those things you learned was from Phil Jackson? Did he teach you well into okay, Derek, one day I want you to be like this, a leader? Would you say we give him credit for that?
What I give Phil a lot of credit for is, when he was hired by the Lakers in the summer of 1999, that was going into my fourth year in the NBA. And I was one of those guys that, ultra competitive, but I played like I was trying really hard. Yeah. And a lot of it was coming from the place of wanting or looking for external validation, right? Wanting my coach or wanting somebody to tell me I'm doing a good job. So let me show them that I'm worthy of their attention or their whatever. And so,
plus, of course, you want to have a lot of more minutes playing.
Right. And as an athlete, you're trying to earn more minutes. You want to earn a bigger role. So sometimes you're trying really hard to show people what you're capable of. Yeah. And for me, that wasn't working, because whenever I would try too hard, I would maybe make a mistake because I was forcing something to happen instead of allowing it to happen.
Yeah.
So back to the question, Phil essentially helped me, and I think many of the guys on our team start to understand like true ownership and accountability for oneself is not in trying to control everything.
Yeah.
Right, and trying to show and prove. It's actually in learning how to take a step back and let go of many things that you're not in control of. And so instead of letting the referees or the crowd or whether or not you're playing 20 minutes or 16 minutes, those things should not control your performance.
Sure.
If you play 16 minutes, you should still be able to perform well in your 16 minutes. And even if you didn't get 20 minutes, that shouldn't ruin your day.
Yeah, exactly.
Like you can't become a different person because things didn't work out the way you wanted it to
Exactly.
work out. So he helped kind of shift my perspective on what ownership really looked like.
Is that a Zen moment? Because Phil is known for like the Zen kind of vibe, you know what I'm saying? So
Yeah, I mean, I think the Zen moment is in accepting the fact that where we are is like really on us. That's really what it, came down to. We had spent, we had lost in the playoffs 3 straight years.
Yeah.
And just hadn't found a way to kind of break through. But that was because many of us were looking for external reasons why things weren't working out, right? So it was easy for Shaq to say Kobe this, and it was easy for Kobe to say, well, Shaq this, and it was easy for me to say, well, coach this, if I played more than this, and it was easy for somebody else to say, well, if my role was this, then I would do this. So everybody had their reasons why we weren't winning.
Yeah.
Other than just looking yourself in the mirror and say, you're the problem.
Yeah.
Not
Yeah,
him.
you got to own it.
Yeah.
Exactly.
And so the Zen moment was in helping us kind of shift from looking around for reasons why we aren't doing well and actually saying to each other, individually, you have to say to yourself, you have to be better. And that was, to me, that was what changed everything.
Now, as a point guard, back then, LA Lakers, you had Shaq, you had Kobe, legendary names, of course, Rick Fox and everybody else. In playing basketball and in business, how do you assess risk? One, do you say, I'm gonna take this risk now and see what happens, or maybe I'm gonna back off. It's not worth it. So how do you assess everything for risk?
Yeah, I mean, in most situations, it's oftentimes case by case.
Yeah.
If you can't have an algorithm or you can't have a system for how you want to operate, but still in that moment, you are literally assessing and deciding, is this risk worth taking? What are all the factors and variables? If it is successful, what does that mean?
Yeah.
If this is unsuccessful, how does this impact you, your teammates, your family, the company?
Yeah.
All of those things. In sport, which is very similar to life, there are also other things that are changing all around while you're assessing the situation.
Sure.
And so, today is Sunday and you're assessing a situation, and by tomorrow, all the variables can be different. So that risk level is changing day by day. Ultimately, I think you're still making a decision based on your training, your understanding of the situation, your understanding of where you are and who you are. I think that's an important part of you're assessing the risk, but it's understanding who you are and what are the motivating factors as to why you are trying to either make this decision or this decision.
Because it's like a leap of faith.
Yeah, no, it is, and it's the willingness to also let go of the result.
Sure.
I think oftentimes we're making decisions and assessing risk, and then if it works out, we think we did it, and then if it doesn't work out, we think we did it.
Yeah.
And so in some ways, when you're assessing risk, you have to get to a point or try to get to a point where whether it works out or not, you've done everything that you could do to make the most effective and balanced decision that you can make in the situation.
Sure.
And whether you kill it or you don't, like you still have to be able to go to sleep and wake up.
Yeah, you got to man up, basically.
And it's okay. It's okay that you assessed everything. You make a decision you think is the best decision based on the information, the facts, the numbers that you have, and it just doesn't work out. And that happens. Like athletes practice for thousands of hours, millions of hours over a lifetime, and you still miss a bunch of shots. You still have games where the ball just doesn't go in.
Yeah.
But that doesn't mean you suck.
Yeah. It is what it is.
You know what I mean? It's a part of it. And so you have to be kind of willing to accept some of the realities of living in a business that just is inherently risky every day.
Because we talk about risk, with trading and in basketball. When you hit that 0.4 of a second shot, back then,
20 years ago.
Yeah. You made a shot. Everybody was happy. I was one of those kids, very happy back then. If you missed it, what would a team would have said? Like, Derek, man, I don't know.
Yeah, that's a good question. I don't think I've ever been asked that question about like what the team would have thought.
That was a crazy shot, by the way.
Yeah, I mean, I think for us, my hope is if had that happen is, we were up by, it was a low scoring game, but we were up by, I want to say 14 points at one point.
It was a defensive slugfest back then.
Yeah. And so had I missed the shot, I think
what Kobe said.
Yeah, I think most of our conversation would have been about all the things that happened as to why we gave up the lead. It would not have really been just missing that last shot.
Yeah.
Right? And so it's kind of ties into the assessing the risk decision, right? It's like, in the moment, today, before you push the button, you're assessing the risk.
Yeah.
But there's like 25 other variables that have already kind of taken place that are more so going to determine whether it is successful or not than the one thing at the end. So, had I missed, the play wasn't for me anyway.
Yeah.
So,
who was it for? Who was it for, by the way? Was it for Kobe?
So, I mean, when anytime he's on the team, most likely it's to him first. And then
that's the shot, by the way. That's the shot right there.
So Kobe was the first look, but Robert Horry, who had played for us for years prior to that, he was on the Spurs.
Big shot, Rob.
So when Kobe went up towards half court, like Robert went and double teamed him.
Yeah.
And then Shaq went to the rim, and that pass wasn't open. And so myself, Karl Malone, we were just kind of standing there for a second, and I just saw open space, and I just ran towards the open space.
When the ball went in, what was going through your mind? What were you thinking?
Game over. Let's go. That's pretty much it.
Part of Lakers back then, three-peat.
Yeah.
Part of that is, of course, like really cohesive teamwork.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? Like this really solid unit. Talk about, how do you like build a team? How do you like keep it like together, intact? Not just, as a player, but as a coach now.
Yeah.
And also in business. Like how do you build a solid team towards, that goal?
Yeah, I mean, I think, for our experiences, like a lot of the connectivity was kind of born from failure and when things didn't work out. Like several of us, we were on the team when we lost in the playoffs in 97 and 98 and 99.
Yeah.
So you take 3 years of not winning a championship in succession, and then you book in there with 3 years of winning the championship in succession. And so you can't, at least for me, I don't know if you get the three-peat without the three-peat of losses. And so part of building a great team is like, which of the team members can handle the hard part of the losses.
Yeah.
And not give up. Not change their identity, not still be willing to work hard or show up early or stay late.
Yeah.
Because we had a bad quarter, we had a bad month, we had a bad year. Like, are you still going to show up the next day?
True.
And
with the same intensity,
keep trying to figure out how to access the best parts of who you are. So in building a great team, it's like we had 5 to 7 guys that had lost together.
Yeah.
Which then formed stronger bonds because we had been through some rough times together. I knew what he felt like because we shared that difficult moment together. And so then along the way, when you're approaching winning it all at some point, you're also still going through these, you're close to winning a series and then you lose game 6. So now you have to go to game 7. But the only way you can win game 7 after a difficult loss in game 6 is if you've maybe been through some hard things before. Yeah. And so now we all have the confidence together to be successful in this very important moment. Otherwise, it's kind of difficult. And I think that's where we're seeing a lot now, like where everybody's trying to throw it together super quick and then just say, let's go win. Yeah. And you have no idea, like if we were, I've never bungee jumped before. I don't think I plan to either. But if we were standing at the top of the
whatever tower, Burj Khalifa,
right? And we both had, we had our ropes on, everything. We know everything works fine for the most part. We're standing on the edge, and we're gonna count to 3, and we're jumping. But I don't know you very well. Yeah. And the only way I'm really confident in jumping is if I know you're jumping.
Yeah. You jump, I jump.
Correct.
Titanic stuff.
But if I don't really know how you roll like that, I may not jump when you jump. Yeah. And then so that breakdown in trust and connection is what happens in an athletic competition. Like when you're watching sports, that decision is happening all the time when there's new teammates or new coaches or new variables.
That's true.
Like we don't know how each other's going to react in the situation. And that moment of hesitation is then when the other team takes advantage. So teams that win successfully a lot, especially year over year, oftentimes it's because they know when I jump, you jump.
Exactly.
And they just go.
So 1-2 punch.
So that split moment of like, are we sure? Yeah. The high performing team is gone. They've already jumped. They're halfway down. You're still at the top trying to figure out if we jump.
If you jump, I'm jumping. Guaranteed.
That's what it is.
Let's go. Now, let's talk about performing under pressure because, Western Conference, you've got San Antonio Spurs, Dallas Mavericks, Sacramento Kings, and then also back in the 08 finals, versus the Boston Celtics. Yeah. You performed really well in all of those. Where does that confidence come from? Like, you know what, I'm going to try to wing it no matter what. Of course, you got Kobe, there was Shaq back in the day. But you asked Derek Fisher, like the main man on the floor. Like, where's the confidence come from?
Through a lot of, like even in younger times in my life, high school, college, basketball was still basketball to some degree, right? And even though I was playing professionally, I always tried to go back in my mind of like, I've been in this situation before. Okay, so even though it's Dwight Howard and the Orlando Magic, if the game is tied up 87-87 and I get fouled and I'm going to the free throw line with no seconds on the clock, okay, whatever the example is. Well, when I was in college, I was in the same situation and I made both free throws and we won the game. So now that I'm standing here playing for the Lakers, the circumstances really haven't changed. Yeah. The external variables have. I'm wearing a different color uniform. Maybe there's a little more gray in my beard. Yeah. Maybe the fans are louder. Maybe it's on national television. But that has nothing to do with like when I'm at the free throw line and
there you go.
There's
your lefty shot.
And I take my 3 dribbles.
Yeah.
And then I shoot my free throws. Yeah. And so none of that process should change. Sure. Even though everything around it is different. So the confidence, to answer the question, for me, I feel like the confidence came from the process. Yeah. And knowing that I had been through a lot of these things before.
Because there's a lot of hecklers too, by the way. Like fans just saying a lot of stupid things, though. It's crazy.
Yeah, but I've tuned that out. Because I've practiced not even hearing that. So then in the game, I don't hear that. And then lastly, that same point. I hate, like it as part of a team, like you have to feel like you're just as responsible for the success and or the failure as anybody, right? So even though Kobe's role or Shaq's role was bigger, grander, they had different responsibilities than I had.
Yeah.
I still went home at night if we lost a game.
Yeah.
I still felt like that was on me. That it wasn't, since Kobe gets to shoot more, that's what he lost the game and I didn't.
Yeah.
It was me too. And so in a lot of those big pressure moments, I couldn't let the team down because I'm just as responsible for what's going on.
That's true.
And so that I think oftentimes that allowed me to kind of step into those moments with a little more confidence.
Last two questions before we wrap it up.
Probably last question. Sorry.
Okay.
I know you're leaving at 45.
Yeah, we're okay.
Yeah.
We got a couple minutes.
Okay.
Okay, just a quick one.
Yeah.
So we go last two? We good? Last one?
That's one.
I'll keep it short.
All right, cool. Kobe Bryant's work ethic, what was it like?
It was, I would say like work ethic is subjective, right? You can see somebody working hard and not really be moved by their work.
Yeah.
Like, cause they may feel that they're working hard, but you don't know that. To you, it may not look like they're working really hard, right? So in my opinion, this is my perspective, like Kobe's work ethic was impactful and motivating beyond his own space. Like it wasn't work ethic that only made him better.
Yeah.
Like his work ethic made everybody that got to see it or be around it. Obviously now that he's not here and like the whole world kind of
Bless him.
got like kind of exposed to like what he really was like in a sense with all the stories and things that have been shared, like his work ethic was moving.
Yeah.
And so being a teammate of his for a long time, like it's different when there's somebody in the office that goes about things a certain way.
Yeah. Like you could see it.
Yeah, and because that you can't come into the office and not be at your best.
That's true.
It's like that's how it was. It's like no, every day I got to be on point. I got to be sharp.
Yeah.
Or he's going to be able to tell or call it out or no. Or even if that person isn't saying anything, you can just see. Well, I get here at 8 o'clock every day. I can tell that because there's a cup in the sink and there's one door that's open and the timestamp says 6:48 a.m. And it's the same person every day.
Yeah.
So if that person is the one getting there at 6:48 every day and you walking in at 8 o'clock every day,
You're missing out.
right? So it was like working with the person that was there early every day, which then makes it harder for you to kind of walk in there late every day.
So don't be late at work.
Like,
You know what I'm saying?
You can't be.
Yeah, it's crazy.
You can't be that guy.
One last question,
Yeah.
quick one. I consider you as the most muscular point guard ever. Your nutrition is just, like if you compare him, he's the most jacked point guard ever. He was massive. Talk to us about your nutrition, your training routine, and why beef up so much.
No, I think when
That's crazy, I know.
when I
What's training like?
no, when I was younger, like I always had a solid build, but it wasn't
Yeah,
wasn't necessarily lean and chiseled.
yeah.
And so I'd say probably early 2000, like 4 or 5 years into my career, I started studying Olympic athletes and the way different athletes were training outside of team sport. There's a lot of, in team sport in the early 2000s, there wasn't a lot of modification or curation of training practices.
Yeah.
It was just like one size fits all. You're on the team, everybody does the same workout, everybody does the same thing at the same time.
Yeah.
And so I had a couple right foot injuries that kind of, I started asking myself some questions like, why is my foot injured? What's going on?
Yeah.
And so that's what kind of led to like this insane kind of
Addiction
desire
to
to
lifting.
figure out, not just lifting, but like there's other things that are going on. So it's the nutrition, it's the performance supplements, it's everything.
I know you love yams too, right? Because I read some stuff about it.
Yeah. So then I just became a consumer of things that I like. If I felt like it was gonna benefit my performance, I would like. I hated cilantro for a long time.
But you got it.
And then once I started reading that, cilantro can help with this. Okay, let me sprinkle some cilantro on there. Okay. Oh, I don't like drinking, green juice or whatever it was.
I read one article that was saying that off season you were like doing 3 days of basketball practice and the 4 days of lifting weights. Is that true?
Yes.
Yeah, that's crazy.
So when we were talking earlier, and I was like, I've never traveled when I was playing, because when the season ended, if we won a championship, of course we celebrated for a couple weeks, and then not long after that, I was like, well, we're winning the championship again next year. Yeah. So I'm not going to take too much time off that doesn't allow me to be prepared for the next season. Yeah. If we didn't win the championship, then we'd cry for a couple weeks. And then
back at it again.
Not long after that, it was like, well, we're winning the championship next year. So then I'm right back in the gym.
Yeah.
And so you didn't have world-class fitness centers at the hotels like you do now. You couldn't rent a whole house on Vrbo or Airbnb like you can now. So I wasn't willing to travel out of town for 5 days and not be able to train.
Yeah.
I couldn't go somewhere and they wouldn't have the right type of ingredients available for the nutrition. So it was just work out and get ready for the next season.
Yeah. Well, we appreciate you, man.